Privyet, comrades, new and old. This is TFCom speaking, and I am here to make an interesting video today. It's going to serve as more of an opening. It's come to my attention more new subscribers, and that's great. I'm glad to have all of you. But I know it can be intimidating from personal experience to see a channel with hundreds of videos and not know where quite to start. Or if you see newer videos and be like, I don't know what he's talking about, I need some background, you know? So, this is sort of a background. It's like a summary of who I am and what my channel's about. I may make this my actual new opening thing on my page. So, let's start off easy. My name is Elijah. I was born in Illinois, but I have lived pretty much my entire life in Texas. I have only been in Tyler for about 3 years now, but I'm pretty settled in here. I have a Bachelor's of Arts in Neuroscience, also known as Psychology, depending on where you go. I think mine sounds fancier, but depends on the school you go to, honestly, for what they'll claim it to be. I've only had it for about since December, so it's getting half a year or so. No, I still don't have a job with it. I work at Dollar General, which I've been there for 2 years now. 2 years. Doesn't get any easier. Retail is horrible. I'm sure a lot of you understand that from experience. Now, the first question I always get when I talk to people is, what is your accent? You're like a mix of multiple things. I can't tell if it's Russian or German. And I typically get a lot of people who assume it's fake because it's like a big mix of multiple accents. And that is interesting. Accents are very fluid, depending on where you go. Even some of my videos, people are like, well, the accent's a little stronger in this video, as opposed to the other video, so it has to be fake. No, accents are very fluid. Certain words they come out on more than others, and certain words they don't come out on. And a lot of it is where you grow up and what you experience. Your accent can change, it can. Because, my mother always spoke German around me and had a very strong German accent. My father switched between German and Russian, so I'm typically leaning more towards a German accent, but I do have some Russian mixed in there. I have also lived in Texas pretty much my whole life, like I said, so there are some words where I have a strong southern accent come out. Words like fatter, or fatter truck, which I still really are, so it's like a southern but they're not, I don't know. Fur is usually how I do it when I don't really are. But there's certain words I can't even say in English very well, like helicopter or ambulance, or some other weird ones. Can't think of them on top of my head, but there's certain words I just can't say in English. And that's okay. But accents are very fluid, depending on where you grew up and stuff, and they can change even now. Like, let's say you learned English from being in England, then your English will have a more British accent, even if you are from like Jamaica or something similar like that. You tend to get it from where you learn it. And, as a little kid, I learned English from a mother who English was not her first language. So as I get older, I'm learning new words, and certain words don't have an accent to them because I learned them from someone who didn't have an accent. So like mitochondria, I don't say an accent for that one because I learned it from someone who didn't have an accent. But everyone has an accent, it's just different accents. So I hope that clears it up for some people, that it's a very fluid thing. And most people were like, no, you mentioned your mother wasn't an native English speaker, so where is she from? And that's where my hereditary stuff goes interesting. My mother and father actually met in Germany. They met in Berlin at the Berlin Wall. They were teenagers at the time, and my father was on the eastern side and my mother was on the western side, and they would like sneak little notes through And when the wall finally came down, it was the time they met each other for real, and it was like a love story. They got together. They have nothing in common, and they absolutely hate each other's guts now. But it was romantic at the time, you know. Oh, the one you've been passing notes to for years. It was cute. But how did they get there? Well, my mother, her mother, which would be my maternal grandmother, she is from England, and her husband, so my maternal grandfather, is from Germany. He traveled around because he was stationed a lot and went to England, and that's how they met. They hate each other's guts now as well, so maybe the key is just not date people from a different country than you. What does that say of my luck? But but yeah, so my mother is half German, half British. And my father, on the other hand, his mother was born and raised in Germany. So my paternal grandmother is German. Now, his father was born and raised in Russia. So my paternal grandfather is Russian. And they met when the whole Berlin Wall came up and everything. My grandfather was one of those troops that was supposed to be stationed in Berlin. I'm not saying when it first came up because they're not that old, but he was stationed there and they met there, and even after the Berlin Wall came down, they stayed together. They're actually still together, and they're very, very cute couple, very couple goals. They get along very well, and they're the best grandparents ever. My mother's parents, not so much, but my father's parents are very good. Even though I don't get along with my father now, my father's parents are still very good. So it makes my father half German, half Russian. So if you want to do the little math there, I am half German, because a quarter from each side, and then I am a quarter British, and I am a quarter Russian. So that's the little facts there about a mix of an accent. Now, my father also speaks French fluently. So every once in a while I have a little French word thrown in there. Or even when it's spoken in English, it has an accent, because I've learned it from him. So that's an interesting one there. But, yeah. As for me, as I said, I was born in the United States. My father got stationed here, and my mother came with him. They got married and decided to stay, and they joined the American Army. And, they denounced their old citizenship. So they were immigrants here, and now they're citizens, and they've lived here, how long now? Almost 28 years? It's been a while. It's been a while. So, I've never been to Germany. I've never been to Russia. I've only left the United States one time, and it was to go to Ghana, which I studied abroad, which was an amazing place. So that's another little tidbit about me. And the name Elijah, people are like, that's not a very Russian or German name. That's true. My birth name, I will not say. That's up for you guys to guess, I suppose. But I chose the name Elijah because it sounded really, really exotic to me. I heard someone on Tumblr, of course, whose name was Elijah. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I'd never heard of someone with that name. I really was like, I want to be that name. And I was getting my name changed anyway, and I couldn't decide what to do it to. So I wanted it to be Elijah, because it was the most exotic name ever. Now, in the process of that, when I was still in the process of getting it changed, I met someone whose name was Eli. And it was his full name, not even shortened. And he was not the best person. So it kind of ruined the name for me, but I was like, I am dedicated to getting this done. I will get this name changed. And once it was officially changed, I got to wear the Eli at work, which before I wasn't allowed to wear until it was officially changed. And then pretty much everyone, daily almost, probably about every 3 days at least, I get someone who's like, oh, my name's Elijah. My kid's name's Elijah. My uncle's name's Elijah. My nephew's name's Elijah. Everyone's named Elijah. I got it to be unique, and everyone has it. Yeah. Now, a fun fact is that originally my parents were going to name me for Seti, which is a Scandinavian god of peace, basically. He's sort of a lawyer. Like, let's say that he's the judge himself. So let's say that Thor killed a Jotnar, and the Jotnar think that's unfair, so they're going to go fight him on that. Basically, Fawcetti would sit there and be like, okay, so here's how we're going to fix this situation. You'll give them this to make up for it, and you'll be punished in this way. Like he was the peacemaker, basically. He was the presiding judge. And I considered getting that name whenever I was going to get my name changed. But I thought it may be a little too hard to pronounce for people who, have not gotten that culture. And I feel like I would get a lot of customers who'd be like, how do you pronounce that? What's that from? Or like something similar to mispronouncing it would be like Forsetti, or I can't even do a southern accent with that one, but Forsetti. And I do have some people who know me by that name, and they know it's not like my real name, but they know me by that name. And as a nickname they call me Set or Seti, which is funny because, another little tidbit, I am an asceti, which is a follower of the teachings of Aset, which is a goddess. So even my nickname is another god, basically, in my god. So it's kind of weird to take the name of my god. Whatever. So let's see what other common questions people typically have. Let me think. Oh yeah, if you meet me in person, I don't have my accent usually. That's a big thing. And that's something I've had to learn to do, working in retail especially. I get a lot of people are like, "Can you repeat that? I have no idea what you're saying." Like, speak English. Do you even know English? Or they assume I'm faking the accent, I'm insulting them. Like, people be like, people who have an accent from a different country will get upset because they're like, that's not how accents actually are. You can't just do that to be cool. And I always got so many people who just always thought it was fake. And honestly, I didn't want to deal with any of that. So I've learned through a lot of practice and hanging around a lot of people. I used to have little lessons of how to talk American, is how I used to phrase it. And I had a theater class, and in purposely for all my theater things, all my performances and stuff, I would speak in my American accent, is how I called it. And I've gotten pretty good at it. So for work, I can fake it pretty well. The save on issues there. Also, unfortunately, very unfortunately, accents are seen as unprofessional or unintelligent. So when I try to apply for places or have an interview or just simply a work zone in general, I hide my accent because I want to seem qualified. And that's kind of rude. I mean, of course it's rude, but like, if you speak multiple languages, that's typically why you have an accent. So, uneducated, I'm not really sure where people get that from. I don't know, but you get people who don't understand you and then think you're uneducated, so I typically hide it. And then immediately have to say, people are like, ooh, do your American accent, I want to see what it sounds like. And this is my American accent. I don't, there's still some words that I hold out a little longer than others, like out. But for the most part, I can speak in a pretty good American accent. I have to speak a little slower, typically, when I'm speaking in this accent. What can I even say right now? Have a good day, sir. Yeah, I do that a lot. Or your change. I don't know. But yeah, it kind of hurts my throat to do. But I have a pretty good American accent, as I call it. And there's still some words that I can't do without. But I try. I do try. It's a lot of practice. And it makes me seem more educated, I suppose. And I've never heard of anyone else doing this. Maybe they do, and they're so good at their fake accent that I can't tell. And if that's the case, then congrats, guys. But even people in like pretty professional environments, I typically hear an accent. So maybe I'm trying too hard. I don't know, but desperate for a job. Especially now when I'm trying to get a job with my degree, I want to seem intelligent enough to get said job. And unfortunately for others, kind of fortunately for me, I am a white male, and it's easier to get a job as a white male immigrant or second generation immigrant than it is as, or say, Hispanic or an African American. Um, because they don't typically think of you as an immigrant. So if you hide your accent, they're not going to think anything. You know, you could, I mean, African American and Hispanic could be born in the United States, of course. Sorry, I'm very sick. Um, but you know, typically Hispanic in general, or Middle Eastern, they assume you are foreign. They assume you are foreign born, regardless of where you were born. Whereas white, if I hide the accent, no one can really tell. They assume I'm born in the United States. And I mean, I am born in the United States, but they assume like my family, my generations have been in the United States. And that's just what people assume. And it's unfair to others. It benefits me, which I don't want to be like white privilege, but I'll take what I can get because I'm still currently looking for a job. No. Why am I seeming unhireable to people? Um, a lot of it is lack of experience. I only have retail experience. Um, Lack of really volunteer experience because I can't afford to not work for pay. Unfortunately, I've done a few things, but not really. Um, Also typically get the people who it's not as much of an issue now, but before I get people who were like, you have a female name, but I'm seeing a man here, which is mostly why I changed my name, because it's not a female name in Germany, but it is here. So that ended up a lot of people were like, it wasn't that good. So I'm hoping I can eventually get a job sometime, but without experience, it's pretty hard, even with a degree. So we'll see how that works. No, what other questions do people typically ask me? How did my family get to Texas? Well, I told you how they got to the United States, and once they were in Illinois, they actually did get stationed. My dad got stationed, from the U.S. Army in Texas. He got stationed over in Mahia, over by Mahia. If you guys don't know where that is, it's like the smallest town ever. So if you guys are from there, like, cheers to you. Well, I've only lived. I don't even. I think I might have lived there for like a month. Yeah, I think I lived there for like a month or two. I didn't really live there very long. Um, Maybe a year. I was so young, of course, I don't really remember any of this. But eventually, there were a lot of stationing and stuff like that. We settled down in the Dallas area. So I grew up. If you guys know the town Rowlett, that's where I grew up in. It's split down the middle. Half of it's considered Rockwell ISD. The other half is considered Garland ISD or Dallas ISD. Garland ISD, yes. Um, and so I went to the Garland ISD schools, and my siblings all went to the Rockwell ISD schools. So we were literally like the house right in the center. So that's a little interesting tidbit for you guys. So they grew up with archery and swimming and things like that, and I grew up with remedial math. That's about all I got from that, which I guess I could have gotten at Rockwell as well. I grew up with Latin though, so I don't know if I'm sure Rockwell did too, but I took 3 years of Latin, so I used another useless language there, I suppose. I also took ballet. I mean, I had to get my Russian roots somewhere. Yeah, that's a little joke there. But Latin hasn't really benefited me any. I know some little, I know one little tidbit I share with like everyone all the time, and that's where we get the term chick in the English language from. I may be wrong. I sort of kind of tried to figure this out on my own, and it seems possible. Puellae in Latin means female or young girl, and in French, puellae means chicken. I'm not sure whether that's a term of why we actually call them chicks, but it does seem to match up. So I'm gonna say that I'm right until I'm proven wrong. And no one has told me no yet, so I'm gonna assume I'm correct. And that's where the term really came from. And puelai is a female and a chicken. So it is a chick. Works for me. I'm not really sure what else to say in here. If you guys have any more questions about me, one day I'll probably do a live stream questioning and stuff. Can't really do that on my phone though. Let's see, what other things? I have a Twitter for people who want to look into that. It's at tfcom598. I don't know, just welcome to my channel. Hope you guys enjoy. TFCom signing off.